What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday. Gonna have a good show. Sam back in the saddle here from LA after the couple of days out there for the Survivor 47 finale, and I had a great time. Looking forward to hearing some more from Sam about that. But we're gonna have a good show because Sam was gone for about 2.5 days, and a lot happened in Titans land in those 2.5 days. Will Levis officially benched. Brian Callahan blows up at a press conference, and now the pressure sits on the shoulders of the head coach after the decision he made earlier in the week. Going to have a interesting conversation, blending these things together, finding out what Sam thinks about it and how much he heard about it while out in Los Angeles. And then we're going to get to some good news that involves the runner-up finish for Sam in Survivor 47. So we will do golf claps here momentarily. And then we've also got good news, which we got a massive football weekend ahead. And honestly, it started last night with a barn burner of a game with playoff implications in the NFL with the Broncos and the Chargers. What a crazy game that was. And then we've just got playoff action starting tonight in snowy Notre Dame. So we're going to get to all that. But Sam, welcome in. Before we officially get going, tell the people what they got to do.
Yeah, let's get into it here this morning, Friday morning. Make sure you share the show before we kick things off. Make sure you hit that share button in the bottom right corner on Facebook. Take that YouTube link, send it into a chat, to a group chat, to a friend. You can repost on the Twitter X timeline as well. Just get the word out. We're talking Brian Callahan, talking Will Levis. We got a lot of stuff for me to catch up on here in Titans world. So it should be a good, entertaining, riveting Titans show here on a Friday morning.
Yep, let's officially welcome in the A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and check them out for a quote today using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, keeping our state beautiful. Join their campaign to find a solution to end littering at nobodytrashestennessee.com. So we'll start off the show because we'll talk about the pressure on Brian Callahan, get Sam's thoughts on the benching of Will Levis and outlasting Will Levis in the little game that I played with Easton about a little over a month ago. But everybody, golf claps. If you've got clapping emojis, if you want to drop an emoji for Sam, golf claps all around. Second place, dude. Like, congratulations. That was really fun TV to watch. So seriously, it was a fun fall for us. I know Titans media had a bad year with 3-11, but a lot of more fun with the Survivor storylines that follow. So congratulations. How you feeling, and how's everything going so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gassed. It's been a busy couple of days out in Los Angeles trying to, catch up with everything, doing press, doing the whole media tour, media circuit, wrapping up the season. But yeah, I mean, emotional roller coaster as well, feeling a lot of it back. Definitely some highs that, we all saw on Wednesday for me, definitely some lows that we saw for me on Wednesday. Experiencing those sort of extremes back to back is intense. You try and make peace, come to terms with it as best as you can, and just be proud of the fact that you played 26 days, made it to the very end, fought to the bitter end, did something that less than 120 people in the history of the world have been able to do, which is not get eliminated while playing Survivor and get votes to win the game. So yeah, super proud, and just kind of taking it one day at a time.
So how many people have received a vote to win Survivor?
I don't know the exact number, but it's less than 100, maybe 100. I mean, it's less than 100. It's probably like 70 something.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, pretty great. So congrats. We'll talk more about that for Ain't That Good News. But we've got a lot of things that you missed because you had a feeling when you left for LA Tuesday morning that Will Levis was probably going to be benched. But then it comes out that he was benched. And so, Sam, want to get your thoughts on Will Levis getting benched, but here was Brian Callahan answering many, many questions in a row Wednesday when he officially made the announcement that Will Levis was benched after Jeremy Fowler broke the news on Tuesday. So here was Brian Callahan explaining the decision.
And then obviously it all came out yesterday, but we'll make a change at quarterback. We're going to sit Will and start Mason this week, and Will function as the backup. Those are decisions that aren't easy to come by. There's a lot of thought that gets put into them, and at the end of the day, felt like it was the best thing for our team for these last few weeks to see what Mason can bring offensively, and that's where I'll let you guys go from there.
So Mason's going to be starting for the final 3 games, at least at this moment?
We'll take it week to week. I won't make any proclamations about anything else, but yeah, for this week for sure.
You had probably several opportunities maybe to sit Will earlier in the season, and you kind of stood by and said, this is our guy, and this is the season we want to evaluate him. What has changed now that you've made this decision?
I think I should be very clear about it too. This doesn't mean that this is the end of Will's ability to be a good quarterback. This is just situationally in the season and where we're at. We felt like we needed a spark at the quarterback position. He's kind of had 2 games that really have been a struggle for him, and we need to have better there. And just like any other player, when your play dips the way it did, and we have a chance to let somebody else go do it. I still believe very much in Will. I still plan on coaching him hard. He's still going to be ready to play. Those are all things that we have to be able to do, and he's under contract, and he's still part of our team. And so no different than any other position, and we're going to coach, and we're going to coach him hard. And there's things that he's really improved on over the course of the year, and those are things we're going to keep working to improve overall. So
you mentioned the accountability factor in the locker room. Did you talk to guys in the locker room? Did guys approach you? How much?
No, this is my decision to make. I felt like it was what we needed to make. So it has nothing to do with them and their player input anywhere, shape, or form. So these are the decision that I felt like was best, and that's how we'll move forward with it.
How did that decision come for you? Like knowing a big part of why you are here was to maximize Will Levis's potential.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision by any stretch. There was put a lot of thought into it. Went back and watched a lot of things, and consulted where I needed to consult, and those are just decisions that are difficult. It wasn't for lack of coaching or pouring into. We've given at every turn as much as we can to try to put Will in position to succeed, and he's shown improvement. There's a lot of things he has improved at, but it hasn't. There hasn't been enough consistency at this moment, and so those are the things that we're trying to fix. But yeah, those aren't easy decisions ever.
So there's a lot there, Sam, right? It's like not good enough, still believe in him, needed a spark, still want to coach him hard. He's not done as a quarterback in this league, but not right now. And, week to week, but it feels like it's going to be Mason Rudolph unless there's an injury. What is your big takeaway from the decision to move on from Levis this week after that game, and then the series of questioning that Callahan took there?
Well, I think my biggest takeaway would be that regardless of what Brian Callahan says, hello,
I hit the wrong button.
Regardless of what Brian Callahan says, whatever he has to say in front of microphones to save face, this is the ending of the Will Levis era in Tennessee. You can sit there and fake belief in Will Levis long term all you want. You can believe that Will's going to be a good quarterback in this league. Now, I would even be inclined to believe you and agree with you in some of those areas that Levis can still develop and have a very productive career as a starting quarterback. But by making this decision, part of what makes it so hard is you are making a declaration for the future. You're 3-11. You don't need 1 or 2 spot wins here and there in order to make a playoff push. Matter of fact, 2 spot wins here messes up your franchise pretty substantially in the future. So you are benching Will Levis to make a statement about what gives your football team the best chance to win a game or two, trying to maintain some of the belief in that locker room. But I don't see any scenario where the Titans revert back to Will Levis in 2025 after how they've ended this season.
Same. And Callahan, I think, was answering questions to be respectful to Will Levis, because I do think that he cares about that aspect of it. But I agree with you. I think it's toast. I think it's over. I don't think Will Levis is going to be on the roster or should be on the roster next season if he's not the starter, which we both agree that he's probably not going to be the starter.
I mean, I think there's a chance that he's here for a preseason, maybe. I think it's unlikely, not impossible he's here for a preseason. But yeah, I don't expect him to be the starter. I expect him to be replaced in either the draft or free agency, depending on how things play out over the course of the next month here as we wrap up the season. But yes, the one big standout for me in that series of questions is Brian Callahan just saying, "Oh, I still believe in Will a ton." No, sir, you do not. If you still believed in Will Levis, he would not be benched for a 3-11 football team in December.
I agree. Now, Nicholas Petit-Frere is still playing at left tackle or right tackle for this team, but that's because out of necessity and default. I don't think he believes in NPF to play offensive line in the NFL. I just don't think he literally doesn't have another option.
Well, and he's tried different stuff is the thing. But like, no matter what happens with Nicholas Petit-Frere for the next 3 weeks, I think we can all agree that the Titans are going to replace him too this offseason in some capacity in order to try something different next year. One of the things Brian Callahan talked about earlier this week in his press conference on Monday was the idea that there's a standard of play in which he needs to hold every Titans player to. NPF is one of those guys that has been held to that standard, who has not performed up to expectations, been benched. And then Leroy Watson also did not, and Jalen Duncan did not, and list goes on and on and on. And they've cycled through names now back to NPF. But Will Levis is one of those players who plays like he did last week, not up to expectations against the Bengals, 4 turnovers in the game. And Brian Callahan has to stare himself in the mirror and ask, what am I doing if I'm not holding my quarterback to the same standard? Yeah. But that being said, Joe Burrow turned the ball over 3-4 times in that game on Sunday. This happens to good quarterbacks. So this is not a one-off instance of you made a bad game, and so now we have to punish you by benching you. I think this is popping a balloon that was already bursting for the Titans because it gives Callahan a reason to make a move that he felt probably like he needed to make a while ago.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's not just the game against Cincinnati. I think it's also the game. It's tied to the game against the Jags where Levis was bad, cost the team points, cost the team a chance to win a football game yet again. So let's get to this because Jay has a comment. It's like, well, okay, what is Callahan coaching for? And that's kind of where we were going to turn with this is that Brian Callahan, the pressure on him. So we're going to ask this question to you guys. True or false? True or false, Brian Callahan benching Will Levis means he's coaching for his job in the Titans' last 3 games. I think this is going to be an interesting poll that we're going to put up here. True or false that Brian Callahan benching Will Levis means that he is coaching for his job in the last 3 games. True or false? I'm literally hitting send start poll on YouTube right now. We'll get to all of your opinions on that. But first, going to tell you guys one more time. It's less than a week. AmomentsPeace.com. Don't screw it up. That's all I got to say because there's a loved one in your life that needs pampering, right? And you can automatically win by getting a gift card at AmomentsPeace.com. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to put on pants or shoes to go do this. AmomentsPeace.com gift card button, bang, and they will email it to you. You can print it out or just email it to them or whatever you want to do. Or you can go in and they'll wrap it up in a pretty nice envelope and put a bow around it. And it's got some shine and glitter, not glitter, shine, because I hate glitter, but it's got shine to it and looks really pretty for a presentation for an in-person gift card. But all you got to do, AmomentsPeace.com, get a little. It goes a long way for the loved one in your life for Christmas. Don't screw it up. Win the holiday season. AmomentsPeace.com. So, Sam, to the chat you go. True or false? Brian Callahan benching Will Levis means he's coaching for his job in the Titans' last 3 games. What are you seeing from the chat?
Lou is saying false. So is Steven and Caps. Vanessa says true. Nolan says true. Steven says true. Eric is on false, as is Tony and Titans Kyle. Valentine is false. American Toff says 100%. Of course he is. Jonathan is true. Mike Bell, true. False from Andre. True from Jeff, who says he's been a failure. We got a true from Ashley and a false from Yannick. An absolutely true from JR. Danny's true. Matt's true. Deborah's false. Michael is false. Pretty split down the middle here, Austin. False from Ramon and Brian and Edwards, who says he will be back next season. Jason says false. He has to know what his team is capable of, but we got an abso-freaking-lutely true and a true from Amar. So we've got a pretty divided chat, I would say. Maybe a slight edge towards people in the false camp, but a lot of split decisions here.
I don't know. I am still undecided.
Really?
I am walking into the voting poll. I've got it open on my phone right here. What do I want to do? True or false? So if it's true, it makes sense. I need to bench this guy because he's losing my team games, making me look bad. Stephen A. Smith went on First Take on ESPN the last couple of days after the rant that Brian Callahan had that we'll get to here in a second. But Stephen A. Smith says, I'm watching all these coaches after they beat the Titans hug Brian Callahan a little tighter and a little longer because they know this ain't him because he ain't got no quarterback. I'm watching Stephen A. Smith say that. And if Brian Callahan benches Levis, it's like I need to show what I can do without this guy who's wrecking my train. But I also don't think that's the case. I don't think Brian Callahan's getting fired. So I'm going to say false. I'm going to say false. I don't think he's coaching for his job. I do think it means something. And somebody asked, what's the question? Brian Callahan benching Will Levis means he's coaching for his job in the Titans' last 3 games. So that's the question. I say false. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's false too.
Okay.
I think it means something. It means something. But for me, this is actually a statement from Brian Callahan because he's going to be here next year. Why is Brian Callahan worried about the Titans locker room? Why is he worried about the support of the players who are buying what he's selling and picking up on the standard and the culture? Well, not for the next 3 games. Who cares? Like, we're going to go out and probably get your butts kicked at least 2 out of 3 and have a limping finish to the season. That's not what's important. What's important for Brian Callahan is to not allow his commitment to Will Levis, his blind faith in Will Levis, if he doesn't feel like Will Levis is playing up to the standard, ruin his credibility within the Titans locker room for next season. And so to me, this is more of a declaration from Brian Callahan about I'm going to be here next year. I'm planning to be here next year, and I need to coach as if I'm going to be here next year. I can't be, putting all my eggs in the Will Levis basket. Yeah. You still got 53 other players or 52 other players that you are going to have up active on game days on your roster that you have respect and buy into your way of doing things as well.
No, I think it's a good answer. Now Richie said earlier that I favored this. The pressure is on, but repercussions for Callahan will be none to zero. So in the title of the show, the pressure is on Callahan after he benches Will Levis, because now there is no other fall guy, right? If the Titans look awful offensively in the last 3 games under Mason Rudolph and Brian Callahan, then okay, maybe Will Levis is not good, but maybe Callahan isn't either, right? So there is a I feel like I agree with your answer, but I also think that what my answer is, which is both false, but my reasoning for false is different than yours. My reasoning for false is maybe showing signs of offensive life can help lower the hot seat number going into the season next year, where if they're 3-11 a year from now, that's not good. right?
Totally.
There's more. He's probably not here or about to be not here. So I think maybe trying to show a little bit of put a little equity in the bank at the end of the year to roll over to next year, I think is why I say false, because I think he's going to be here. I do think it means something though, like we both agree with.
Yeah, I'm just not. I don't know how much I buy into the idea that like Mason Rudolph is better or going to give them a better chance to win some of these games. I don't really feel like.
But he is better.
I don't know if he is.
He's better. He's better by being less bad, by being less catastrophic. Mason Rudolph is better.
Mason Rudolph's been just about as catastrophic turnover-wise.
I'm about to say the most Easton Freeze thing I've ever said in my entire life. Mason Rudolph has the highest adjusted EPA per play of any AFC South quarterback, including that includes CJ Stroud.
As of when?
The whole season.
Well, like is it okay? So that's whole season.
The whole season. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, he is better by being less catastrophic.
Sure.
Mason,
I mean, he turns the ball over a lot still, though. Like, I mean,
yeah, but not in the it fell off the cliff and then exploded.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he is slightly less turnovers, but I agree with Orlando. I mean, like people look at it, he was checked down city in the last game. And in the one drive that he actually had to throw the ball, he also threw an interception. So like, I'm not sure that you're going to plug Mason Rudolph in and be like, yep, we got all of our problems fixed. And frankly, I don't know if that matters much for Brian Callahan's fate as the head coach moving forward, of like whether or not the offense looks productive over the next 3 games, I think has zero impact on whether or not he's the head coach. I think the things that matter a lot more for the Titans over the next 3 weeks is the fashion in which they lose, but really how much this thing unravels the rest of the way. Like the amount of effort that guys give, the amount of buy-in that you have across the rest of the roster. And so that is where I feel like the move at quarterback is going to benefit Callahan, because you are at least, you're not selling something that you're not living up to yourself as a head coach. That's the moment that you've sort of lost the locker room. Yeah. Mason Rudolph can go out there and suck, and he'll still be Callahan's fall guy. And bad quarterback play will still be what Callahan points to at the end of the year as why his offense wasn't good. But
that's fair.
At least he'll be able to show to his locker room, hey, like I tried to make a move. Now we know that we have to improve at that position in the offseason.
Right. I got 2 comments I want to get to from the chat. But first, I want to tell you guys all about TDOT and their campaign to find a solution to end littering across our state of Tennessee. There's over 88 million pieces of litter on our roadways. If you're traveling, you're going to see it driving up and down the interstate, up and down the highway this holiday season. We can all help out and pinch in to do our part to end littering across our state by visiting TDOT's campaign, NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. They've got litter cleanups across the communities that you can join in. It's a great way for your kids to get involved, to learn how to do a good thing for our state and our environment. So NobodyTrashesTennessee.com is where to start. You can take a litter quiz, save money on local events, get other perks right there at NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. So check them out online. Once again, NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is the sportsbook born in Vegas. When you sign up with BetMGM, use the bonus code ATOZ Sports at sign up. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Whatever that wager amount is can go back into your account in the form of a bonus bet all the way up to $1,500. Bonus code ATOZ Sports on BetMGM.com.
All right, so a couple of comments I wanted to get to. Hello Ladies said, stupidity. All this does is ruin Levis more and possibly the draft by benching Levis and going to Mason Rudolph. What are your thoughts on that? Because I got a follow-up from Anthony that kind of fits with what Hello Ladies is saying here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. What do you get out of this?
If you're Brian Callahan?
I mean,
well, here's
good Mason Rudolph play is bad for the Titans. It's horrible. It will affect their organization for decades, potentially. I mean, you could end up one loss away from Shador Sanders or Travis Hunter or one of these franchise-changing players in the draft, and you're turning over to Mason Rudolph, who could win you a football game, maybe playing a little bit better than Will Levis played, and cost yourself dearly. And you're also doing it in order to make a declaration that Will Levis is not your quarterback anymore, and you don't have that option to go back to for 2025. So I don't see, like, for me, weighing the potential negatives of this move versus the positive that we just discussed of Brian Callahan saving face in the locker room for 2025. It doesn't feel worth it to me.
Okay, if you were Brian Callahan, would you play Levis?
Yeah,
It sounds like it. So
Yeah.
you would. You would not have moved off from him.
I would have played Levis for sure.
What would you have told the locker room in that situation of like, no, we're going to stick with Will. We're going to put him back in there. He had a bad day. Like, what's the messaging for that?
I don't believe in the idea that, like, in Callahan kind of refuted this point the other day. I believe when you're 3-11, development matters. Like, but Brian Callahan was on the record in front of the media on Monday talking about how the Titans are not focused on player development whatsoever. They're focused on trying to win games. And while I understand that is the point of coaching at the end of the day, is to try and win games, you also have to know when the win-loss record of a football game is less important than the development of the players on your team. I think there's a lot of guys for the Titans right now playing football that are not the best ideal player for them to win a football game, but they will get some long-term benefit of getting these guys some experience. I mean, what the Titans should do is sign a veteran inside linebacker to come in and start at inside linebacker for them for 3 games. If we're so obsessed with getting to 5-12 and trying to win 2 of the last 3, and like that's really going to turn the tide, go sign some 8th-year veteran inside linebacker to come start. But you don't, because playing Otis Reese, who then gets hurt, but playing Cedric Gray and James Williams and giving those guys opportunities on defense is important for the development of some of these young players. And that matters. And so I think it matters for the quarterback the same way it matters for an inside linebacker.
I think the difference here is like Cedric Gray and James Williams are going to be on this team next year. Hello Lady says all it does is ruin Levis more. I think they have decided that Will Levis is not part of their plans, right?
I mean, I agree with that. I think that's the decision.
Will Levis be damned at this point for that standpoint. And then Anthony comes back and says, not developing Levis is exposing Callahan as his QB guru. He's not. It's just Burrow, Manning, and others had top tier talent. So I'm curious what you think about this.
Too early to say, I would say on this.
Like, I think it's also Brian Callahan saying, look, man, I tried. You know, like I tried, like just like I said on the postgame show, I tried to give Will Levis a shot. I tried, but I knew what I saw. And Brian Callahan, I saw some good things. I couldn't get them consistently. And he said that on Wednesday. They poured everything they could into him. Obviously, Will Levis is not Joe Burrow or Peyton Manning. There are a lot of big differences between those two guys, including 32 draft selections from 33 to number 1 overall. And Matt Stafford, there's another one, number 1 overall. So those are 3 guys that Callahan's worked with. So if anything, you should say that Brian Callahan knows a great quarterback when he sees it, and that works the other way around too. So I don't think you can hold that against him. And I said this to Easton the other day. Brian Callahan did not draft Will Levis. He was not a part of that evaluation in that decision to go with him or Malik Willis. He improved Malik Willis in 4 months and made him a tradable asset. Nothing's being discussed about Kyle Shanahan being a part of let's move up from 12 to 3 for Trey Lance. Ooh, that sucked. But we found Brock Purdy and Mr. Relevant. And so nobody like Kyle Shanahan was a big player in that evaluation and decision to do that.
Yeah.
And it flopped so hard, but they got lucky and won the lottery on the back end of it. It didn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, Brian Callahan, I think, we've said it 10 times now. Pressure is on, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's why I find this offseason it's funny. Every offseason seems to be more interesting than the last one, but like
It used to be different before you got here, Sam.
I mean, the quarterback situation is ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
And what you do at quarterback is going to decide his long-term fate. If we are both correct and he's back in 2025, I think the leash is about that long, right? I think like the wins need to come, improvement needs to happen. There has to be a clear future for this franchise, especially on offense. And so whoever he's picking in free agency or the draft or whatever to be the next quarterback of this team is the guy that Brian Callahan is tying his opportunity to be an NFL head coach to, which, you know, is a big decision to make. And it additionally important why, you know, maybe losing a few games wouldn't be horrible. A lot of people in the chat fighting back on me saying that they got an opportunity to take Shedeur Sanders. I think everybody is on the table. The Titans are one game away from the number 1 overall pick. I mean, do they need help? That's unlikely to climb. Yeah, absolutely. But like, one thing I know is that you're not grabbing any of these quarterbacks with
4 wins.
With a win. If the Raiders beat the Jaguars this week, the Titans will probably end up picking in the top 3 if they lose out.
Are the Raiders going to beat the Jags?
They could. I mean, it's
and
3,
and then the Titans have to lose to the Jags.
Well, if the Titans lose out, right? The Titans are losing to the Jags at one point.
Yep.
The Raiders beating the Jags would give the Raiders 3 wins. The Raiders have a more difficult strength of schedule than the Titans. So the Titans would jump both the Jags and Raiders and be picking 4th overall with teams like the Patriots, Panthers, and Giants right in that range around them. So then you're
the Giants are your killers. Like
the Giants are probably going to pick 1st overall.
Which is Shedeur Sanders.
But like
unless like for whatever reason the Giants fall in love with Cam Ward.
So maybe it's not Shedeur Sanders. Maybe it's Travis Hunter, right? Regardless of whether or not you're getting the quarterback of your future at the top of the draft.
Or Abdul Carter, right?
There is a franchise-changing player possibly available in the top 3 to 4 picks of this draft that you could grab that would really, really help jumpstart this reset. And you know, winning a game or 2 can mess that up in a flash.
Yeah, it could. All right.
The Giants, as Jason says, Giants are also playing the Saints this weekend, and that's, you know, Spencer Rattler, JK. I mean, who knows? Probably Spencer Rattler
got knocked out of his first start.
But both the Giants and Raiders, for what it's worth, have a more difficult strength of schedule by a wide margin than the Titans. So a Giants win bumps the Titans over the Giants as well. I mean, like, they are absolutely not out of this conversation. And this is a big week. Most people watch the NFL around Christmas time, and they're sitting there locked into some of these playoff implication games like you brought up with Chargers Broncos last night.
Yeah.
Titans fans, Raiders, turn off the Titans if maybe, but go with the Raiders, Jags, and the Giants Saints games. Those are going to be the ones that change your franchise forever.
Wild. All right, Sam, I want to get to this video. Brian Callahan went viral. I want your thoughts on it. It was a doozy. Easton asked the question, but first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for all of your health coverage needs. They can help you out regardless of your situation. They can find the right plan for you, your family, or just yourself to get the coverage that you deserve. You should have out there for a good rate. So better rates and better service. They've been serving Tennesseans for 78 years. So check them out online and go to fbhp.com/ATOZ to get a health quote today. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. It is the sportsbook born in Vegas. There it is. Bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up at the BetMGM app. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet. Whatever your first bet wager amount is, up to $1,500 goes back in if you lose. So if you're betting and you know it just doesn't go your way, worry not. Second chance to win big. BetMGM.com, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, Sam. So Wednesday at the press conference, Easton is asking a question to Brian Callahan, and this is a side of Brian Callahan that we have not seen to this point. And so I don't know. Have you seen this yet?
I've seen part of it. I've seen
Okay.
I've seen it pop up on my timeline with a couple of notifications. I landed in Los Angeles, got up to my Airbnb in Hollywood Hills, and saw Jim Wyatt, Teron Davenport, notifications, Brian Callahan cursing out whatever. And I'm like, oh, hello. Okay. So have not seen the full video though.
All right. Here's the full video with Brian Callahan when asked about his team being soft.
Think this team is soft physically and mentally. How would you respond to that idea?
I mean, you really want to get me going today? Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's complete and total bullshit, if you want my honest opinion. These guys are tough, man. They go after it every day. They play hard as hell. And there's at no point have we ever put on tape at any point this season that this is a soft football team. Like, I can't even wrap my mind around how that would even be a conversation. I mean, just because we don't win games doesn't mean we're soft. These guys play their ass off. They play hard. They play physical. You can ask any team that plays against us that when they come off the field, they know they played us. Yeah, that makes me relatively angry that would be some presumption. That means you just don't watch. You don't do anything about it, that you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're looking at. So I won't stand for. I'm not going to stand for anybody calling this football team soft. I think that's bullshit. So if there's opinions out there that feel that way, then they don't know anything about NFL football. So I'd like you to walk in there and call one of these guys soft and see what happens. This is not a soft football team at all, mentally or physically. And I think one of the things mentally that's really been impressive about the team is that the way that they keep fighting through the way that this season has gone. They've not shown at any point that they're not up to the task. They come out every day and work. They have. I mean, I'm really. You're gonna really get me going now. I mean, these guys come out here and they do everything possible to win games. And if there's any assumption anywhere that's outside of this building, again, we don't focus on all those things, but there's no possible explanation to say that this team is soft any way, shape, or form, mentally or physically. And the way that they go about their work it's insulting to me, to them, to everyone that works here. So I'm not that no chance ever in hell would I ever admit that to be the case, and neither would anybody in this locker room. So you can kind of shove that one right up your ass, to be honest. So.
Oh man. All right. So real quick, Toph says such rage. The dude even laughs. He doesn't even make eye contact. Toph, he was literally making eye contact with Easton the entire time, talking to the guy who asked the question. So Sam, that's the first time you've seen that in its entirety. What is your reaction? You've got an interesting look on your face. That is,
Can I ask,
similar to like a final tribal council look that you've had a few times.
Well, allow me to ask.
Okay.
What is the reaction among the community and fan base to this?
So
I'm very curious about how this is being received.
Yeah. So we did a poll yesterday reacting to this, and we asked 4 options, and I'll have you do the same. How do you feel about Brian Callahan's anti-Titans or soft team rant? You have 4 options: love it, like it, okay, don't like it, or you think it's fake rage. So yesterday when we asked the question, roughly 70 to 71% of people were either love it or like it all right.
Really?
Yes. Then there was like 4% that did not like it. And then I think the other that makes up, it was like 25 or so percent that thought it was fake rage. So fake rage was the third highest voted answer, but like the 2 positives and the 2 negatives were 70-30 basically on that. I think from a local standpoint, the percentage of like it has been lower than the national standpoint. I already mentioned Stephen A. Smith on the show. Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky, and I forget who else was on the First Take desk the day after that, were very much, I like seeing this from Brian Callahan. I feel it. I know Callie. I know he's got fire, yada, this and that. So they loved it. I think the national perspective is good for Brian Callahan. The local perspective is less, but still more good on Brian Callahan.
So
That's my analysis.
Yeah. So my initial reaction is I don't care. I don't know why this is a hill that Brian Callahan feels like he needs to die on. It doesn't affect the way that I feel about Brian Callahan whatsoever. I will say one of my concerns about Brian Callahan that I've had for a while, I think he might care a little bit too much. I think he might be way too bothered by what people think about him and his football team. What does Mike Vrabel do in that spot? Not to do that comparison. I know that's not what people want to do. He probably said,
Mike Vrabel had a
I'm
very
not going to acknowledge that and moves on, or he just ignores it entirely. I don't get what I guess what I'm trying to say is what is the appeal of watching a head coach get all pissed off because fans think his team is soft? Like what is the appeal there?
I think it's the fact that he still is emotionally invested in this thing and cares. I mean, that would be my.
I mean, I would hope he cares.
I know, but I think it's the fact that I think there's people have doubted Brian Callahan's fire. They've doubted his leadership ability, and so I think we have seen a very cool and calm Brian Callahan at press conferences, which is different than what we saw from Vrabel, who consistently dropped F-bombs in press conferences like every month, right? Like the whole, because I hate bleeping losing, Gentry. Remember, that was about a year ago going into a very similar situation.
Also, sorry, not to pick on my boy here either, but where is this question coming from? I've never seen somebody be like, this team is soft.
Well, it's because it happened the day of. So Mike Herndon on paulkaharski.com questioned the toughness and questioned the team and also the ability of drafting the next guy. So there was a relevant, timely publication that was to this point.
But it was one post. I don't think.
No, it wasn't. But there's been a lot. But Sam, there's you've seen it. There's been a lot of people is Brian Callahan man enough to be this team's head coach or an NFL head coach? Jarvis Brownlee Jr. saying it was cold in Washington, calling the people called the team soft.
That's
there.
Objectively soft.
And Kaharski followed up, which was the perfect follow up. It's to Brian Callahan's rant of hey, well, Jarvis said it was too cold in Washington. What does that mean? And Callahan was like, well, have you seen Jarvis Brownlee play? That guy's not soft. And I think we would agree that he's not soft. And Jarvis was not calling him soft. He was calling his teammates affected by the cold. But that doesn't, that doesn't mean you're soft either. So I think there was merit to here's my overall thing.
I don't believe so. Yes, there was. No, I don't mean that as a shot at the question at all. I'm just really breaking this down because the point that I'm trying to make is this is not a widespread, widely believed narrative. The team is soft, the team is soft, the team is soft, and then Brian Callahan has to answer, stand in the heat and answer questions about it, and he stands up for his team. This is a very niche sort of criticism that has been labeled on this team by one article or one this or that. And it is somewhat, I'm like, what are we doing that we care so much to have this viral 3-minute cussing out this, that, and the other sort of.
Well, the fan base has I think it is more widespread than you're seeing, than you feel.
I'd rather see Brian Callahan this impassioned and emotional and fired up about what he believes and what he's building and what he believes in the culture or just in the character of his team and the community that they're building. I'd rather a head coach get fired up about that stuff, not rattled by a media narrative that his team is soft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this though, being called soft is one of the worst things you can call a professional athlete or a team, that is a triggering word.
True.
Calling yourself soft. Gerard Mayo called his team soft.
I'm with JR here. This is the perfect response. I don't have time to respond to dumb comments about being dismiss it.
That would have been Mike Vrabel. Like Mike
And I
Vrabel
think
would have
it's- I think
said
it's
that with a
I think it's the
collection of
perfect answer. It both shows that it's dumb, that you disagree with it, but that you're also not going to make it the highlight of your world to defend it.
right. So again, I think this did good for Callahan nationally. I think it did good for Callahan with the
If that is, again, I've been unplugged. If
Sure.
the narrative coming out of this is that nationally Brian Callahan is doing himself a lot of favors with this, then I guess I'm wrong, and like this is a good move for him.
Yeah. It played
And
well. It played I think within the media and within parts of the fan base, people kind of rolled their eyes on it. Because look, the third most popular answer with like 23% of our vote thought this was fake rage. Now there was 70% that took it positively. So there's a portion out there that thought it was fake rage and thought he was manufacturing this emotion and thought it was like, I kind of poked at it yesterday. Like when he was like, this makes me relatively angry. Like whenever you're angry, you don't use the term like relatively angry. Like that's very like, that's not that you're not actually seeing red there. You're still very calm. So
checks in. You really want to get me fired up on this one? Okay, like angry is just like bang, we're going at
you're
it.
just yeah.
So,
and again,
look, I don't. Yeah, if it did good for the locker room, if it won him some props nationally and like the narrative surrounding him, I guess it's a good move for him. And okay, in which case I like it. I just want to go on record and get this out there now. I'm nervous about Brian Callahan's temperament regarding his ability to like take criticism moving forward.
okay.
And I respect and admire the fact that he cares so much about his work and his football team. I just think you do it's like being a player. You can't live and die with the things that the internet is saying or that the fan base is saying about you and all of these things. If a fan online is going to say you suck at football and then you're going to be clapping back at fans on Twitter, I'm like, come on, man.
You're right. And I think here's like Brian Callahan, I think is 39, maybe he turned 40 already. I can't remember. He is an admitted stoolie. He's a barstool guy. Right? He grew up in the internet era. There's not many coaches that are like that are
for sure.
So he is we're going to see more and more of this. Like Mike Vrabel was online. Mike Vrabel has burner accounts. Mike Vrabel has a real account that he
you can be online. I just don't think you we cannot put our entire identities as coaches, players, whatever on the things that the internet says about us because
I'll take back when Periscope was a real thing. I don't know if you guys remember Periscope. It used to be the initial Twitter live stream third-party tool. Periscope would show you when a person that you followed would join your live stream. The amount of shows that Zach and I were live streaming on Periscope through 2018 when Mike Vrabel took the job to the death of Periscope in 2020-ish, 21, I don't remember, where we would see Coach Mike Vrabel pop up on the screen of joined your show all the time, maybe once a week, maybe that's a little much, but it was frequent. Then there's also like the fact that we were told, the John Robinson pays attention. Amy has told me to my face multiple times. I check in on what you guys are doing. I watch sometimes. It's like they pay attention. Brian Callahan pays attention because he's 39, 40 years old.
Yeah.
And grew up with the same stuff that we're all in right now. He's more of one of us type people.
Like I said, I can have a lot of I understand it. I got a lot of admiration and respect for a coach. This is what you want out of a coach, a guy who cares about his football team. I just think we need to be careful about how publicly we show that we care about perception, right? If you really believe in what you're doing within the Titans organization, if you believe in what you're building here, the results will eventually speak for themselves. And you can take comfort in that and worry a little bit less about, having a rageful speech at a press conference. That ain't going to save your job at the end of the day. Winning football games is.
So where do you fall in the poll? Love it, like it, okay, don't like it, or fake rage?
I'd say okay. Like, okay,
You
like
like
that.
it okay. It's
I mean, I
okay.
wouldn't say I like it. I would say,
Well, like it okay is the same answer.
all right. Well, I guess I like it okay, but I don't like it. I'm clearly don't like it. I'm
Okay,
very like,
so answer the don't like it. That's an option.
I don't like it, but I don't dislike it.
Okay.
All right, so I don't like it.
You don't like it. So you are about in the 5% group of the people that don't like it, which is fine. That's good. I like it. I like the fact
It worries me. So
that no, I think that's totally fair. Orlando says, wait, Coach Rabel 50 isn't actually him. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is Coach Rabel 50. I don't remember exactly what Mike Rabel's Twitter account, Periscope account was, but maybe that was it. All right, we got a super chat we'll get to, and then we'll talk a little bit about some good news that involves Sam being the second place, the runner-up in Survivor 47, which is, objectively incredible. But before we get to that last super chat here, the Bone and Joint Institute is where to go. Make them a part of your health back to, or I botched that thing. Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to turn to somebody you can trust to get you back onto the path of recovery, to live your life without the injury and the pain there. They can do that. They've got all the experts and the resources in Franklin, Tennessee. Online, book an appointment when you need them, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. Use the bonus code. You got a weird switch up here on StreamYard, by the way. We hold back. Everything looks different than when it did. I miss a couple days and everything changes.
Everything looks the exact same to me.
Not true. Well, not for me. Bonus code ATOZ Sports. BetMGM.com is the sportsbook born in Vegas. And when you sign up with that bonus code, you can get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet. So there's a lot of big games coming up with the college football playoff getting ready to kick off. Tennessee at Ohio State for a very big game that Austin will be in attendance for. There's a lot of other really fun. I'm pumped to see the home atmospheres at some of these college football playoff games coming up. I'm going to be watching a lot of them. If you're watching a lot of them, make sure you tune in, but get in on the action. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. Place a bet using BetMGM.com, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to the super chat. I do want to update the poll that we had because we asked earlier in the show, Brian Callahan benching Will Levis means he's coaching for his job in the Titans' last 3 games. True or false? 63% say false. 36% say true. The super chat I wanted to get to, Andre, the feel-good Patriots win currently costing the Titans the number 1 pick. Sanders, Ward, Hunter, likely over. Another win, and kiss your boy T-Mac from Arizona and Abdul Carter goodbye. Feel good equals expensive. Sam, I feel like this is something that you were like, yes, cosign, 2 thumbs up, all of it. You are right. You are aligned with Andre, I think, more than anybody.
Chances are Sanders, Warder, Hunter likely over. There is still a chance, though. I mean, I just went over that scenario where a couple of games this weekend can have a serious boost to the Titans' opportunity at getting, the 2 games that they need to go their way this weekend, and the Titans are in the top 3 as long as they control their lose out, right? And so that not totally over, but another win, and not only is Sanders, Ward, Hunter over, but Andre is right on the money. There's a chance that Abdul Carter, Tet McMillan, these guys are going to be no longer in the picture. It's that tight of margins from pick 3 to pick 10. So yeah, I feel great about this win. Build a lot of momentum for 2025 and cost yourself an opportunity at a huge player. Expensive indeed.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's go ahead and get to Ain't That Good News. If you have good news, drop it in the chat. Good news to wrap up this big week for Sam and A to Z. Here we go. Friends at Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. I'll get my good news out of the way so we can let Sam have a moment and have some time. And look, I have favorited some comments, Sam, if you want to go check those out and see if there are things you want to get into or not. But my good news is I have one more sleep. Well, one more attempted sleep I will do my best to get a good night's sleep tonight so my wife and I can wake up at the crack of dawn tomorrow morning on Saturday and get ready to drive up to Columbus to see the Vols at Ohio State. I have been so pumped since getting these tickets 2 weeks ago. Now, I told you, Sam, before the show, currently the tickets that are in the section that I'm sitting in are 30% the cost of what I paid 2 weeks ago. So that sucks. But, whatever. I'm going to go see my school, my team play in its first ever college football playoff game and the first ever college football playoff games at college campuses weekend, the first ever game that Ohio Stadium has hosted in the month of December. It's going to be freaking cold, but I'm honestly so excited. And so I'm pumped. I'm going to try my best to sleep tonight because I got a long drive ahead of me and a late game. So I'm going to use the caffeine that I have at my disposal and the adrenaline to get me through there. So that is my good news. Really pumped about that. Have some friends going that are sitting with us and right behind us. And so excited for my wife and I to have this experience because we both went there and pretty pumped about this. But that is my good news.
Yeah, cool, unique first college football championship game. I mean, not a championship game at all, but like first time the Vols have been in national title contention and you've been able to go to a game ever. So, never been like in the BCS
I was 8 years old when they won the BCS, the first ever BCS national championship in 1998. Yeah. So I'm not going anywhere to a game at 8 years old. But yeah, so very pumped up about that. So that's my good news.
There you go. Let's go. Well,
all right.
Yeah.
Good news for the chat.
If you see one, let it roll here. I haven't.
Okay. Christoffel is just throwing fake stuff about Travis Hunter. Good news. Zach Goodman bowl season will be in full force this weekend. Demetrius, good news. 1 day away from Vol invasion at the shoe. That's a lot of good news. Richie says good news. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. That's also a good one too. Matt says good news. Ryan Day's last game is Saturday, expecting the head coach of Ohio State to get fired. Commander Shepard says, good news. I don't have to watch Teeny bash Sam anymore for no reason. Jeff says good news. Austin gets to experience the shoe for the first time and is going to Skull Session and Buckeye Donuts, right? I don't know what either of those things are. I'm guessing that one is a bar and one's a donut place. Maybe I'll be in Columbus all day Sunday because we're breaking up the drive. We're driving home on Monday. But Sam, I'll drop it over to you. Good news for you. Congratulations again on your runner-up finish for Survivor. Very impressed and very proud of the game you played as your employer, coworker, and friend. So, floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun week. Busy, obviously. I'm behind on a lot of sleep. Just been kind of going nonstop for the last 2-3 days here. But very cool. We were down in LA. CBS put on a live screening of the finale in Los Angeles for the cast and crew. So got to meet back up with a lot of the production team that helped work on the show and helped capture our story out there. So very nice to see everybody. Had a chance to get my family in Los Angeles as well for the event. So my family was as in the dark as everybody else about what was going to go on Wednesday night. So they came into LA, watched the finale in a nice big movie theater in Culver City, California. But a very cool night. A lot of feelings, feeling all the feelings, kind of like I mentioned at the top of the show regarding the entire experience, the finale, the results, the event. There's been a lot going on in my world recently, but a kind of nice way to finish it. I think a lot of people seem to enjoy the episode and enjoyed seeing. I mean, it's nice to not have any sort of like thing that I have to not talk about anymore, where I'm like, I don't know. So it's nice that it's out there. There is something that's relieving about that. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Because like it was, I remember when you were getting on the flight to go out there, you're like, all right, I'm out. I'll see you later. And I was like, all right, go do us proud. Go do something for us.
Yeah.
And I was, and you did, and you came back and you made, I think you made us proud. A to Z family in the chat on Thursday morning was like, that final tribal, you saw the stats that Sam pulled out of the Fijian air and just dominated it like you were making your case for Will Levis to be the guy next year. Like, it was, you could see the arguing with Zach and myself and Easton over the last couple of years, and Jack has probably paid off a little bit in that moment.
Yeah, no, really proud of Final Tribal, really proud of the game as a whole. Felt like I, did absolutely everything I could with sort of like the hand that I was dealt. Maneuvered a lot with a lot of creative strategy and relationships, and kind of overcame a lot of odds to get to the end. So proud of the game. Feel like it was I felt like it was $1 million game, but that's not how it works all the time. So, super pumped and honored to be there at the end though, and have the title of runner up for such a great season behind such a great winner. And I mean, yeah, really crazy. Glad that everybody was able to see that, because I knew I was going to go down swinging if I was going to go down at all. So
it was fun, man. You made it really fun as a first-time Survivor watcher this year. Because of that, I enjoyed it greatly. I know a lot of people did, and the fire was phenomenal. I mean, that was
it was sick, right?
So intense,
that was sick.
So intense, man. That was cool. But again, congrats. I did want to read a couple of comments from people. Sheila says, "Congratulations, Sam." Jonathan, congrats, and asked what's your favorite part and the worst. I don't know if you want to answer these or not. If you're sure, yeah. What the rules are.
Favorite part has to be, I have a strategic mind for the different strategies of the game, and kind of finding some ways to maneuver votes and crunch numbers in order to wiggle your way out of spots. So just like really strategizing and finding ways to be one step ahead of everybody else was a really fun process for me that I enjoyed. It's just when you're maneuvering and things are going well, and you're making moves and taking swings and they're all hitting, like that is really, really fun. Worst part, it's probably the boredom. Like, although you're not super bored if your brain's kind of going with strategy and like stress pretty much all the time. Maybe the nights are so long. And I mean, just like the survival aspect of it really doesn't get captured on the show well enough, I don't think. It's impossible to, but just because of time. But how difficult the experience actually is. I mean, I lost 30 pounds on the island. Like, it was a absolute, I mean, it's crazy looking back at the photos and videos of that last episode, because it's, I've been out there for a month at that point, and I'm just emaciated and gaunt in the face and arms and everything. So definitely physically demanding.
30, that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight. Why didn't you practice fire? I'm sure has probably been the most frequent question you've been asked in the last 48 hours.
I think I just had this idea that I'd be able to figure it out when I needed to. I was kind of like, I mean, what am I going to learn in fire going to the woods now that I won't be able to teach myself with an entire day to practice in the jungle? Maybe that was dumb, but it worked out. So
yeah, I did.
I think way better question if I don't actually win the fire contest.
Yeah, because you did figure it out. Like, you proved yourself correct, even if it was like as procrastinating manner. You got it.
Yeah.
Let's see. How nice was it to finally brush your teeth?
That was not the number one thing, weirdly. Like, the shower was for me, it was washing my hair. And like, just like that shower, getting the layers of dirt off of your skin that are like attached to you, that was like the big one. But yeah, definitely when you get back that night, the showers are just the whole process of behaving like a human being again is odd.
Yeah. American Tough brings back an old one. Lunch money for Survivor, Sam. Did you come up with Operation Italy, or did Andy? I've read two different things. If it was you, why didn't you say in the final speech? Why didn't Sierra or Andy vote for you? A lot of questions there for Toff in that super chat.
Yeah, to be quick. So I think the answer is both. Andy comes up with it on his own. I come up with it on my own. I had pitched it to Genevieve ahead of time and intentionally brought Andy on the reward that day with the intention of pitching him this plan that ended up turning out to be operationally, where we would do a fake idol and split this vote. And then before I was able to, so Genevieve and I are kind of tiptoeing around it. Before we're actually able to pitch it to him, Andy comes to us and also brings us the same idea. And we were kind of like, oh, well, if that's your idea, we also had the same idea. I guess our interests are pretty aligned. And that's kind of what allowed it to happen. I did talk about it a lot in the final speech. That final tribal was maybe an hour and a half. So
That's
it's
crazy.
It's really cut down. It's a heated debate for over an hour for sure, and it just didn't make the final cut. But it was definitely something I talked about. And why didn't they vote for me? I don't know, man. Everybody's got different reasons, different criteria, and people see the game differently. I think people want to be on the right side of history sometimes. People vote for reasons outside of the game sometimes, and I can't speak for them.
Yeah, no, fair enough. A lot of people just saying congrats. I've never seen Survivor before, but watched the final episode just to see what it was about and see how you made it out. James, you got to go back and watch more, dude, because the whole season was good. And also, shout out to Sam. Broke the record for most, confessionals for most individual interviews. So
yes,
you get to see a lot of Sam, James, if you want to go back and watch. Pretty cool. Bork says, went in hoping Sam would at least make the jury, but blew the expectations out of the water.
Same.
I'm guessing, yeah, same for you.
Yeah, I mean, I had no realistic expectations that I would be able to. I mean, you see in the show, right? Like I'm day 3 or whatever. My tribe is like, oh, this guy's a massive threat. He's got to go. Like I was pretty aware of the fact that I would come off as very threatening and intimidating to the other players, and that I was going to be constantly battling a target on my back. And what you sort of see play out is that pretty much the entire post merge of the game, I am playing with the biggest target on my back and having to find a way to keep maneuvering it off of me and onto somebody else and silver tonguing my way out of situations. So I was not expecting to end up like being able to keep doing it over and over and over again and make it all the way down to the end. So once you hit the jury phase, you're like, okay, nice. We've made it pretty deep. Like we've had a good run here. And then it just kept working. And I was like, oh, wait, hang on. How are we still like,
I felt like after the Sierra and you tie vote and she goes out, I feel like that automatically bought you. Just because of people would like, I feel like it's a human nature thing to like, all right, let's take it easy on him and go somewhere else and go in a different direction. That's just kind of how I don't know if that's the case.
It did not feel that way. I mean, the very next day after that vote, once again, I was supposed to get voted out all the way until it ends up like flipping within the last hour before tribal council. Fair. But that entire day, the message was, all right, we're voting Sam out today. So I was like, okay, how am I going to find my way out of this one again? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I'll see a lot of comments are about how people were like screaming, cheering, jumped up off the couch when that rope broke on the fire. Cool moment. So any other things you want to get off your chest or say before we head out of here? Or are you ready to take a nap?
I'm ready to take a nap. I don't even know everything that I'm feeling yet. So like I haven't had, I have got 8 billion texts and like messages and stuff on my phone that I haven't even been able to like go back and look at just yet. So we had the whole like after party and my phone was blowing up during all of that, but then had a exit press bright and early before the sun was even up on Thursday morning, did that most of the day yesterday, went to LAX, got on a flight back home, and now I'm here. So gonna take a little bit of time over the weekend to catch up on all things Titans, catch up in the world on all my messages, and we'll be back.
You've done that before. You've had to catch up on things that you missed for a period. So you'll figure it out. But all right, well, congrats again, and we're pumped. A good fun fall, especially when the Titans sucked so bad. All right, that's it for us this week. Sam, you and Easton will be on for the Titan Game Day live show. We've also got Vols halftime and post game with Jonathan Crompton and Charlie Burris for the playoff game. I'm driving up to Columbus in the morning. I'm pumped up. Sam, you and Easton will be at the facility later on today to get the final update from Brian Callahan, the Titans, before they go to Indy. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show, like the show, like the show. That's it for us. Have a great start to your weekend. Big football weekend. We'll catch you later. Appreciate it as always.